She reminds me of me 20 years ago, except for she's got to do delivery. They don't want to know. It's like filtered out to the general public. And want to go back to 90 odd hours plus. Hi, welcome back to my channel, Lady Trucker 128, and I am Dawn, for any of you that don't know. I've been busy this week, and I think a couple of things we were left on the last video was deciding whether I was going to change my YouTube channel name. Well, no, because Lady Trucker 128's been around for 16 years, and I think everybody that has got in touch with me says no, just keep it as it is and just build it back up. So that's the plan. I'm just keeping it is and I'm building it back up. So if you want to be around, subscribe and like. That's it. It doesn't cost anything, just your finger. That would be really cool. As for me, I'm waiting on the physio to come and see if she wants to try and manipulate my leg to some sort of situation. So, as you know, the title of this video is quite simply 7 things why you should not want to be a lorry driver. And I've been thinking about this really, I don't want to make people not want it, because there's probably 7 good things for being a good lorry driver too. In fact, before we get into the points, I was watching, there's a couple of channels I was watching this morning. Becky Giles, she reminds me of me 20 years ago, except for she's got bulls and cows on instead of bins. And Chatting with Me in a HGV, that was another one I was watching. I'm sure you've got other channels that you prefer, you can let me know in the comments. But they just reminded me of way back, 20 years back, doing videos in my truck in the early days. And how did I do the filming? Because we didn't have any of these cameras. We had like phones that were the Nokia 3220 in the truck, and then we had those small ones that started coming out, didn't they? They started to shrink down. It wasn't the N75 flip, because I had a couple of those, they broke. I'm sure it was the N75. But the one I had, I literally, this is how I filmed. I put my fridge on the on the bunk. I bungeed it to the back, and then I stuck my phone, because I made sure I had 2 phones. I stuck my phone on the fridge, and it just recorded my day's activity from behind my shoulder. So it had me driving and just going around anywhere. And then I would just upload it onto my laptop, and I'd spend the night sitting there editing away. And that's how it went. Because loads of people asked, how are you filming? And that was it. Just stuck it to the front of my fridge on my bunk. So it just reminds me, these guys have got all these bits and pieces now, and I'm thinking, God, that's so cool. And I have found the niche, and the niche is going to be heading in what I know best, lorry driving. That's it. I am a lorry driver, regardless of whether I haven't driven now for over 4 months due to work accident, but I do know. So as the title says, let's move quickly on. 7 reasons you would not want to become a lorry driver. Well, here's the thing. Firstly, it's actually something I was literally reading. The average age of a lorry driver / trucker is 76 and a half. Apparently they're really important, those halves, as we get older. So 76 and a half is nothing, isn't it? Not that I mean, I don't know many. I do know some 70-somethings. I think a lot of drivers that have been doing it for many, many years will probably just die behind the wheel because they don't really want to give it up. It is a bit of a bug. So 76.5 is not what I call a longevity of life. And the reason for that is we do spend a lot of time sitting on our bums. And I know that people's health is suffering. They either smoke too much, they're drinking too much caffeine, and they're eating way too much. I mean, it's too easy if you buy packets of sweets and biscuits to shove them down the side, and by the time you've got to your drop, they've gone. You know, I used to get a packet of ginger nuts. I do like ginger nuts. And honestly, by the time I've got 2 hours down the road, those ginger nuts, they're non-existent. I'll just throw them in the bin, and then you don't realise you've eaten them. Or you tell yourself you haven't eaten those, and then your waistband's getting bigger and bigger, and you just, it's a sort of like nasty circle of life that you get into. It's a bit like when you go to the cinema, isn't it? You buy popcorn, biggest box you can get, Revels, minstrels. Well, they put stuff in these things. I can eat a whole packet of Revels, probably feel sick, but I can eat them. Minstrels, I'll sit and eat a big family pack of those, no problem. Smarties, give me them, I'd be there. It's crazy. And I'll have the popcorn. I'm not really a pop person, so I don't do Coke and water, and I do water, Coke and lemonade and anything sugary like that. Slushies, that's the other thing, isn't it, in the old cinema. So no, I don't do that. But if you think about it, for lorry drivers, you go into the services, you see them queuing for Greggs in the morning. Now, that's fine. McDonald's, that's fine. You can eat healthily in these places. The easiest way is, I don't know about Greggs as much, because I gave up on Greggs, because I watched the girl prepping my omelette bun thing. Oh, it was just disgusting. It's not even worth discussing. Just don't buy them on the garages because there's not enough staff and the hygiene can get a bit iffy if you really watch things going on. But yeah, but in McDonald's, and I do this a lot, so in McDonald's at breakfast, just order eggs, 4 eggs. They'll do you your eggs and put 4 or 5 eggs, they just put them straight into a pack, a box. Or get yourself double egg and sausage McMuffin and just throw the muffin away. You'll feel a lot fuller for longer and you just won't feel hungry. It's great. So that's a good kick. Just get rid of the bread. So number 1 is health, sedentary lifestyle and life expectancy. That's not good. So I would sort of think that's not good, but we are getting healthier. So in theory, it should sort of balance itself out. The next one is loneliness and isolation. And I think we're all a bit guilty of this, but some people actually don't mind being on their own. I'll sit and chat to myself all day long. So, but for some people, especially if you've got mental issues and mental health issues where you're struggling, you know, maybe you've got family issues going on. So loneliness is one of these real bad things, because in our job, you can get in your truck and now it's getting so more impersonal. You won't even hear from the office, will you? The office don't even contact you other than a text. There's no conversation anymore, so there's no banter. If you haven't got any friends because they're dying off, because as you're getting older, your friends die. So your circle, you know, your circle's dwindling, you know. So loneliness can be a big thing, because even when you get to the place where you've got to do a delivery, they don't want to know. It's like, all right, drive, yeah, give us keys, bay 2, bay this, bay that. And you go into the driver's rooms, and they're the most impersonal places now. It's like being in a doctor's waiting room. I mean, they're literally all sitting like this. Nobody really wants to talk. No, it's so silent. You could literally, apart from what's going on over the counter where they're all getting phone calls and stuff, in the actual driver's section, it's like you could drop a pin and you wouldn't hear, you would actually hear the pin because it's so quiet. Nobody talks anymore, and you feel like you don't want to get into that driver's space. Maybe he doesn't want to talk, but I bet there's loads of drivers in there that would love to talk or have a bit of a banter. Number 3, stress and pressure. The pressure you get, you put the pressure on yourself, because as a driver you want to get, if you've got a 7 o'clock delivery, you want to get there at 7 o'clock. You don't want to be there at 7:05 or 7:20. You want to be there before that. So even if you go out of your way to plan and get up a bit earlier and start earlier, it can all go wrong, especially if your company have not told you all of the details you need to know. It took me one day 8 hours, you will like this, to get from Rotherham to Grimsby. 8 hours. Oh dearie me. I literally left Rotherham, got onto the 180, and the whole road came to a stop, and I sat there for like 4 hours. Then we got off and went on the side road, and literally I was on the side road within 10 minutes, that came to a stop too. So by the time I actually got to my collection, they went, "You should have been here 8 hours ago." Sorry, only dogs can hear that. So I went, "Well, yeah, the road's been closed, sorry mate." And he goes, "Yeah, well," I said, "Well, look, load it. If you don't want to load it, I'll go out. It's not a problem. I really don't mind. I mean, the company will get someone else in. I'm just telling you, I'm running out of time. You need to sort it out, because obviously I'm not going to get to my point of destination, or at least get to where I want to park up for the night, because obviously I'm not going to do the delivery now because I've been on the go for too long," which is crazy when you think about it, but that's just the way it goes, So that's one of the things. Stress, high cortisol levels. I mean, here's the thing that you might not know, but cortisol, I mean, it's a stress hormone. So if you think you're behind the wheel, if you get stressed by traffic, you're drinking caffeine, right? You're now getting stressed, your cortisol levels are up, your caffeine is causing problems too. All of a sudden, your heart is going boing, 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 boing. And you can have, I mean, even people that are drinking coffee, they're stressing themselves with cortisol, and they're taking Pro Plus. They're a heart attack waiting to happen. That is it in a nutshell. My mum died of caffeine overload, really, because she was on slimming tablets and she was just drinking black coffee back when she was 31. Look, and she just dropped down dead. Heart gave up, sort of put herself into a diabetic coma, really. Crazy, but that's another story. Not worth going on, doom and gloom. Number 4, cost, training and ongoing sort of costs of medicals. I mean, once you get over to the age of 65, you've got to have medicals every year. Every bloody year. I mean, that's just not right, but I understand it. So you've got that. And those 12 months come around so fast. CPC, ongoing. We all thought that was going to go away. Competence of good drivers, blah, blah, blah. Cost of training. Well, most companies will pay for that, but you still lose days here and days there. So that becomes a bit of an issue, isn't it? So I suppose cost of training is an issue. It's a good thing sometimes, though. I mean, medically, if you don't really get to go to the doctor very often, I suppose having a medical, if it's a decent one, but most medicals I've been to, get on the scales, yeah, that's fine. Blood pressure, yeah, that's fine. Even if it isn't really, they seem to tick it because they presume that your blood pressure is going to be slightly elevated because you're stressed about coming for the medical. So, that could be the case, but realistically, I would think if you're a lorry driver and you've got issues, especially if you're taking medication, you should get yourself a blood pressure machine and take it at least 2 or 3 times a week while you're sitting resting in your cab. So that's what I would do. And I do have one, but I do it because I follow keto and carnivore sort of existence, so I like to keep an eye on that and my blood sugars. Even though I'm not a diabetic, I just like to know what's going on with insulin. So yeah, that's what I do. The number 5 is dangerous. Risks of accidents, and it's dangerous. So the risk of accidents, oh God, it can be anything from tripping, falling over, falling out your cab, just basically any type of accident. Banging your head. How many people have banged their heads? You get into the thing and you go up and you don't realise the bar's on the blooming trailer and you whack your head on the trailer bar. Oh my God, that's painful. Just stupid things, really. I mean, obviously as big companies get bigger, then the likelihood are minimised, because no longer are you allowed to jump off a trailer. No longer are you allowed to climb up on a trailer and do stupid stuff. You have to have hard hats on if you're on a curtain silo. You have to make sure you're strapped so you can't be near it. You know, 3 points of contact, this sort of stuff. But back years ago, that never sort of even came into it. And I think even in Europe, it's not so big a deal. It's just here, isn't it? We are really quite strict on it now. And I think that's probably a good thing. And I'm sure we've all got stories of stupid accidents. So if you want to send them to me, email me them and I'll read them. I'll get a great pleasure out of reading everyone's antics out there. So, and any questions you want to ask, that'd be good too. So then the next one is high risk. Yeah. Getting your work-life balance right. So you've got high risk of divorce because the work-life balance, even if you're working days, this is my thing, right? So your hours, they're always going to be high, right? We do really long hours. Well, I say long hours. No, we don't. The longest you can work is 15 hours a day. All right. That's a lot if someone's used to only doing 6 or 8 hours a day. So 15 hours is a lot. Now, if you work an hour from your yard, you know, that's 17 hours you're going to be working in a day, because you'll have had to have given yourself an hour, even if you give yourself half an hour to get out of bed and half an hour to get sorted out and get to work. You know, you've been up an hour and a half before you even start work. So then you've got your day and then you go back. Now, a lot of day drivers probably don't max their hours out all the time, but they definitely are a long day, right? So my advice is, if you work days, I just think it's so hard to work days. But if you do work days, you really only want to be within 20 minutes of wherever your workplace is, because you will be wanting that when you get to go home. And if you start really early in the morning, then that's not so bad, because you're not going to get caught in the traffic. But by the time you go home, you'll have school runs, this sort of stuff coming back. So, you know, sitting there for that extra time makes a huge difference. My brother, he used to be an hour away plus to get to work. Now he's only 10 minutes, and it's the difference in his lifestyle is ridiculous, you know. So it does work, especially if you're doing nights and earlies. You want to be, it works if you're close to your workplace. So I would do that. Right. Number 6, I would say it's, well, lack of respect. Yeah, by companies and colleagues. I think suppliers, not so bad. Like I said, the bigger the company, you're not allowed to get away with that. You can't scream and shout at people anymore, because that doesn't go. You can't swear and F and blind at people anymore. So there is respect there. General public, I don't think it's sort of filtered out to the general public. And it's, I think realistically, you've just got to get that sort of like, give me a bit of respect. I'm driving around in a 44-ton truck that can actually kill you. Don't wind me up, mate. So that's one issue. And then finally, the poor working conditions. You know, I think poor working conditions is, especially if you're a tramper, you know, there's not many bins in lay-bys. If you're parked at lay-bys, toilet facilities, I mean, I've always made do. So, you know, this job, if you can't wee and poo in a bucket, you shouldn't be doing it. Because if you take your family camping, what are you doing? You technically got a little toilet. So you're doing that. I know people saying, leave the number 2 into it. But sometimes you're stuck and it's an emergency. So, you know. But wrap it and bin it. Don't just throw it out on the floor. What's one of the worst thing is if you annoy someone, especially in the services. I've had more problems in lorry parts and services over the years than I've ever had in a lay-by. If you annoy someone or they don't particularly like you, you'll wake up with a pile of poo outside your door. What's that all about? Get a life. And the other thing is them putting the pin on your trailer. I mean, if you didn't, God forbid, if you didn't get out and do your checks before you pulled off, I mean, that means your leads are going to go as far as you'll be doing a bloody wheelie. But I've had that 3 times now in 20 odd years, you know, so it's not clever in any way, shape or form. So I would say, yeah, I mean, services, certainly for women, because we're the minority, some of the showers and that, they're not very nice. I mean, you guys, you know, if you're a guy, they get used more. Women, not so much. I just got used to just a bowl and a bit of Dettol wash, strip wash, 2 flannels, job done. Easy peasy when you get the chance to do things like that. So you can do it with hot water or cold, doesn't matter, it works the same. It's all disinfectant at the end of the day. So yeah, that's good. Now, like I said, the bigger the company, it's going to get easier because they won't allow you to do anything stupid. And your hours in bigger companies, as the years are going on, they are going to go down because they won't allow you to do those either. So I did have a letter come through. Well, I say a letter, just an email. And it was one of my friends, Pete. He said, why, can you remember when we used to do 90 plus hours? Oh. And we have to pause. Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
You alright?
Yeah. Still waiting on the physio.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
What time did she say, like?
Don't know, can't remember. But I know she said Wednesday, so it could be any time knowing Katie.
You're not going anywhere, love?
No, just like I said, waiting on Mr. Amazon. He'll be alright. Yeah. I've even opened the gate so that they don't leave it at the end, end of the path. So that'll be alright.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, look. No, it hasn't arrived yet. Arriving today. No, but it hasn't arrived as of yet. Yeah. But I would imagine it'll be here. Once I get the message saying it's here, I'll go out and check.
It's normally between 3 and 4, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but sometimes they've been delivering them at 8 o'clock. But this last time it was early, wasn't it, when they delivered? Yeah. So, yeah. We will see and endeavour. Where are you anyway?
I'm just finished tipping in milk and kittens, but I need that glue and that, so I might as well go in. I'm going down to Luton to park a fuel and get me a glue here.
Okay.
So I'm just pulling into the gate now.
All right. Speak to me in a bit then. Love you. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye-bye. Oh, a trucker's life. So, like I said, the bigger the company, the easier things are going to get. I did have an email come through from Pete, the trucker. He said, Dawn, can you remember when we used to do 90 odd hours plus every week? And I went, yes. Well, what if we could go back to that? I said, well, 1, you wouldn't be able to go back to that because the bigger the companies, they're not going to let you do that. And 2, why would you? Who would want to. I can remember working for Titan High Tours, a holiday company, and we used to do like 24-hour drives, really, because like we were really gone by the air flights, you know, and airplanes. If they come in late, or, you know, drivers can't make it to the next destination, or fuel strikes, you had to go above and beyond. And the amount of times I pulled into service stations once I'd dropped people off, sleeping across the steering wheel, not knowing which service station I was at, I wouldn't want to go back to that. And what was it? Magic Frisbees. Probably some of you don't know what they are, but the paper tacos, they were fun. You can get rid of those, throw them out the window, and just do a manual entry. Don't do that if you've got a digi-taco, not a good idea. And also, before that, you just had manual books you used to write in. So you could cheat your way to your heart's content. But I think, obviously, as time goes on, these 90 hours, would you really want to go back to 90 hours? I can't see anyone wanting to do that, really. Let me know. Let me know in the comments, yes or no, you'd want to go back to 90 odd hours plus. Or send me a letter or an email, sorry. Send me an email with your, I suppose, comments, or not so much comments. If you've got a letter of concern that you want to do, we can put that out there. So yeah, but I think the debate is, I can pretty much categorically say this is going to be a no. I don't think anyone really wants to go back to doing 90 plus hours a week, but you know, I can remember my boss phoning me going, you've done really well, you did 90 odd hours, blah, 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 bang, bang, bang on the back, good. And, you know, it used to be a competition between the drivers to see who could do the most hours, which I suppose if you're being paid by the hour, weren't so bad. But when you're paid by the day, who wants to do those hours? No. Anyway, on that note, this is me over and out. I will catch you next week. I'm going to go through some of my old driving videos and see what's what with those. I think it would be a bit of a laugh going back in time. So we will see you then. For now, I hope you are keeping safe. I hope you are going to look after yourself. Don't eat too many donuts and and put all that profit into Greggs. They don't need it. And stay off the chocolate. Right. Take care, guys. I will speak to you next week. Next Thursday. Lady Trucker 128. Over and out. Bye. Ooh. Okie dokie. I don't know if I can get up here. Life of a knackered trucker. Whew. Oops, got you. Just about. I need to get a remote control on this thing.